It is nice weather. We're outside in a location unknown in Amsterdam. Welcome to the Realistic Viewer podcast, the first ever. I'm with our main man, Mr. Z, aka Zero, aka Zorro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's nice to be here. Nice to talk to him. Let's make it a great podcast.
Let's go. The first topic for today is, so let's talk about building discipline. Building discipline through positive behavior. So, for example, we've been working out for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
and because of our study, we have to go up and on, up and on. However, now that we've graduated, it's time to really just dive in, work hard, and also make some great strides with the positive side of fitness, for example. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think it's very important to keep maintaining, and so working out is very important because I feel like if you work out every day and be consistent with your workout, you will be mentally a lot stronger and you will be recharged every time after the workout. So no matter what else is going on in your life, you have this one solid rock. And I think we as people are very habitual, which means that if we do something and we keep doing it, it will give us benefits time and time again. And this is true for the positive things as well as the bad things. This means that for me, if I do something and I keep doing it over and over again, the effect just gets reinforced with every time I keep doing it.
True. Also, the positive sides of repetition of doing skills. For example, in my case, working on editing, making my videos better. Also, working out also helps me staying focused. So, for example, if you're a little bit stressed out and if you want to just take your mind off things, it really helps build discipline. But also in the workplace, if you think of things that bother you, just try to improve yourself, cause you to stay behind in regards to the skills that you want to develop. Just continue and make better strides.
Well, yeah, I mean, to add to that point, I think it all comes down to having a goal in your life. If you don't have a goal in your life, you're just being aimless and you're just rowing the boat and going into circles. And I think for me, with the working out every time, every week, every day almost, I think it keeps me straight to the point. What I mean when I say that is that I keep focused on one goal in specific. And of course, you have so many facets in your life and you have so many goals you want to attain, but you cannot attain it if you do not have a clear mind. And I think you also know that we have a technique called the SMART technique, which you can use to define your goals.
So SMART is being specific, having a measurable goal. It should be attainable, it should be relatable, and also, what was the last one again? Time related. That's true.
Yeah,
of course. So let's take an example of a SMART goal. So you want to save for a car, and you make about 2,000 euros a month. Let's take just a simple number. So, for example, you want to buy a car which is 5,000 euros. Within a period of time that is attainable, I can save about 200 euros a month. So I want to save 200 euros a month to buy a car which is 5,000 euros within 7 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that you need to believe in the process. If you do not believe in the process, you will not make it. And believing in the process also has to do with discipline. I mean, you can set aside the 200 every month, but if you go out and the next month you decide on a new thing you want, besides the car, you're going to spend that money. So you need to be very disciplined and really know what you want and then go after it.
Yes, it's really about staying the course. And in regards to monetary funds, that's something on the side. Just try and focus on making a budget for yourself. Check what you can spend as well, and what type of bills you have, and something that you can attain on the longer run.
Yeah, of course, I agree. with you.
So we talked about discipline. Let's talk about something more interesting, the effects of social media. What do you think about that?
Well, I myself personally, I don't really use social media that much, even though I do use it to keep an eye on the culture and how everything is revolving. But I think social media is crazy nowadays, to put it in simple terms.
Well, crazy. In my opinion, social media is the ultimate tool to get ahead in regards to a lot of things. So, if you want to get a job, if you want to build a following, if you want to stay related to your friends and family, but the important thing is you have to remember that it's really a tool. It's not something that should consume your life, and that's something that a lot of people get in trouble with as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is so new for all of us. I mean,
Yeah, true.
We often forget that it's not been that long since we've been that active on the social media platforms. So I think it's really a time of transitioning to really a balanced out lifestyle. It's going to take a few years, and hopefully the next generation will be able to deal with it a lot better. But as things are looking now, it's going to be very interesting to see where everything is going to go.
True, true. What I also see in the fact that the next generation is also creating new jobs with social media. Did you know that there's a job called memes? You can make you can make memes and make money out of that. Well, this is crazy.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This has been going on for a lot of time, and actually a lot of labels are, music industry labels. They're pushing certain memes because it's publicity, and publicity is always good.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. The old media that we have, so the newspaper, etc., they're all going online. But the thing is, most of them think that the old structure of how a newspaper worked for. So I make an article, I make a couple of articles, I put it on a paper, and somebody has to pay me €5 for it. It doesn't work because the internet has made 90% of all information that you can find on books or etc. for free. So, yeah.
And of course, the sources on the internet are not as reliable as we want them to have. So when you have a traditional newspaper who is up against something like BuzzFeed or whatever you want to call it, then you will have the problem that BuzzFeed is just going for the clicks. And on social media, the clicks count.
Yeah.
But in journalism, quality counts.
Of course.
And there we have this imbalance we have in a society, which, it comes down to fake news and all of that.
Fake news is a whole nother problem that we have.
But it's all connected. I mean, we have a lot of facets, a lot of different problems, which every generation has. And we just need to find a way to deal with it.
Yeah, true. It's all about finding the focus and finding the quality.
Yeah, I mean, life is about balance. Balance, everything. Everything is about balance. I hate to say it, but come on.
But yeah, people, there are a lot of opportunities that you can find in.
Yeah, I mean, always. There's always an opportunity. You always have to be on the lookout for any opportunity you can get.
The crazy part of this is you're able now to sit in your room, just think of an idea, have a plan, make it strategically, as we say, smart, of course, and then just execute it. Find your community, find your people who are feeling the same as you, and you can build something and you can make money out of it.
Yeah, and the most important thing is to not be afraid of failure. I think a lot of, especially in the Dutch culture, failure is something which is regarded as
frowned upon.
It's frowned upon. Yeah, but it's better to fail than to regret. The regrets will stay with you forever, and over time, the failures will go away, and you will learn from every experience you get.
Yeah, I agree. So, we talked about the effects of social media. We talked about positive habits, talking about discipline. So, how do you look at positive growth, so personal growth after studying? So the experience of going abroad, meeting new cultures and looking at different situations, how people live, how they think, has it opened up how you think as well?
Well, for me personally, I think it's necessary to look at your value system. So look at your value system from time to time and see what do you prioritize. And you have phases in your life where one thing is more important than the other.
Yeah.
and you have to recognize that. And sometimes you will have the good intentions, and you will feel like your priority is the right one at that time. But it may be that it's time for a change.
Yeah.
From time to time, it's very important to know yourself and know what you're going through. And so, going on an exchange, you will see that you will meet so many different people. But at the same time, there's just people. they're the same. They're the same
Yeah.
everywhere. We have natural tendencies, which always allows us to group together, and we're still animals.
Yeah.
In one sense.
And the interesting part is also you notice that every person has, in my opinion, a 4-year development system. So every 4 years, you tend to shift and change a little bit more and think a little bit differently because of the past 4 years you had and the things that you've learned out of that. So that's usually also why I think that they keep the years that we have on schools for a period of 4 years. So within 4 years, a lot of things have changed already. So when you're done with school, there's a whole new technological change. That's why also the educational system, even if you're a doctor in medical degrees or a doctorate or etc., you need to stay with the current developments, or you're not a doctorate anymore.
And that's why I think the institution of school may be a bit old, but it teaches you discipline.
Yeah.
And you will learn to deal with your problems methodologically. And in that sense, you will be able to tackle any problem. It's really about preparing yourself to go into the real open world, the workspace, the office space, or wherever you want to go and want to do. And it prepares you. But in the end, you still have to fly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the bird.
Yeah.
The bird, it's going to get pushed out of the nest by the mother.
Then it has to fly or die.
Fly or has to die.
Yeah. But that's kind of a cruel analogy to consider.
It is. But that's capitalism right now. That is. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Of course, in the Netherlands, we have the safety nets. That's always pretty nice to have that.
Well, safety nets?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean,
to a certain degree?
If you compare it with other top Western countries, it's pretty good.
Okay. So let's think. We talked about the school system as well. So do you think that after studying the business degree that you did, that you're looking at some aspects more analytically, or are you just looking more structured?
In what sense?
So you face a problem that you had before. Instead of looking at it as a problem, you're looking at how can I break this down to solve it.
I mean, each problem becomes a challenge on itself. I mean, that's the way I keep myself motivated. Like, if I face a problem, I try to make up a plan. And if that doesn't work, I always have a contingency plan. And it's important to have a contingency plan. I mean, for everything you do, you have to have a backup plan. It's very important. And in that sense, you will face great difficulty, but you will have to know that no matter what you do, every experience counts.
Yeah. The interesting part of the contingency plan, it reminds me back to one of my teachers. He had a saying for that. He called it CYA. It's called cover your ass.
Yeah, always cover your ass.
It was hilarious at the time, but actually, if you really think about it, that's the thing that a lot of people do. So even political or CEOs, they have a contingency plan. If the company goes bad, he has a golden parachute that saves him, for example.
Golden parachute,
whatever. But in general, it's always important to have a plan B. And
C, and D.
and D, E, F, G, and a Z plan. But it's always about thinking further than you are right now. So that's why a lot of companies ask you that question how do you see yourself in 10 years or 5 years or whatever? Because they are looking for people to stay with them in case a lot of people leave as well.
It's all about investments. I mean, a company is willing to invest in you as a person. And if they see that you are able to learn very quickly and you are very loyal as well, then they will be more inclined to hire you. But, you have to cover your ass.
Yeah.
So that is to say that just because a company is loyal to you right now does not mean that they will be loyal to you for your contract extension.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. You should not look at a company as a person. It's an entity
It's
that
an entity,
that
yeah.
moves and changes every couple of years. So, for example, Coca-Cola, they had done a research. They checked, and if they didn't continue marketing their content, etc., they would be lost in memory for within 4 to 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, man, it's
Oh.
crazy.
Wow.
So you have to keep moving, keep developing, and keep shifting your entity itself.
Yeah, the market is very dynamic,
Yeah.
especially because of the social media.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that a lot of companies are catching up. If you compare to maybe 2 to 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I think they're really catching up in terms of how to use social media,
Yeah.
not take themselves too seriously,
Yeah.
not take their industry too seriously, but at the same time deliver quality.
Yeah, but if we also are looking at it, so how much do you think the traditional jobs are going to change? Do you think it's going in a way that it's more of a freelance type of job, or is it something that's more, okay, it's still a bit traditional, you have your 40 hours, but you also get additional benefits and additional tasks that are offline and internationally based?
Well, I think it's difficult to predict because it also has a lot to do with how the government sees it. So in the Netherlands, for instance, we have a lot of people who work freelance, but and it's been promoted by the government for them to do that because they saw the shift and they want to encourage it. But the problem is that people are facing uncertainty. They don't have medical insurance in some cases because they don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Netherlands we have a basic one, but
Yeah, I know.
you still need to insure yourself, especially if you're independent.
Yeah. And independent insurance is expensive.
Yeah.
As let's not use that word.
Yeah, but the thing is that uncertainty is always it is and it will always be something which causes fear in people. We all want to have stability in some sense. Maslow's theory. I mean, the first thing is you have to have your basic needs met.
Yeah.
And after that, you can go for individual growth.
Yeah.
But you first have to get the basics right. So I think that the market might shift, but our natural inclinations will cause for it to return back to more of a structured working life balance.
So how do you see it change in the 5 years that's upcoming? So it's something more like, okay, it's time to go to work. I'm behind my computer doing my thing, and then I have the rest of the 4 hours of my days, 8 hours of my days for myself.
Geographically, it shouldn't change. I mean, you can do wherever you want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's going to change, but I think you still want to have some type of contract. Or be self-employed, which is even better. I mean, you're dependent on yourself, on your own skills, and you know you can do it. And there may be uncertainty, but you're the only one who can change that.
And you can CYA a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about that though, how do you think people should start preparing themselves in regards to new skills that they develop?
Invest time. No matter what you do. I mean, if you do something for 10,000 hours, I think there's a saying, like, you become a master at it.
Yeah,
you have to keep investing time in something. You're not going to be great in 3 weeks, or maybe you will, but then you're just a natural. I mean, and even still, I mean, you still have to hone your skill. It never stops. That's the thing. You don't stop growing. You keep growing.
Yeah.
And so if you want to learn a skill, you really have to invest time and effort and really keep hammering at it and make a plan.
True.
And fail. You need to fail.
Yeah,
and after that, you have to succeed.
It's the sad part of life, actually, because if you look at how many entrepreneurs start a business, it's about 1 to 3% that actually succeed and stay for 5 years. And after that, it's about 50 to 70% that also fails after that. So yeah, it's a continuous process of learning things, taking in the experience, but also even if you've experienced everything, you have to pull out lessons out of it. You have to learn and make a little mental rule book for yourself. Like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and this I'll never do again. Or maybe I'll do it again if I have the means and the skills that I need to achieve that goal at that moment, but not at the same way as I did before, for example.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you always have to reevaluate yourself and what you're doing, and you have to reflect on your life. And if you don't do that, you will keep making the same mistakes. I mean, if you face one situation and you took one road and it worked out for you, but you still feel kind of bad about it and it didn't go exactly how you planned, you can do the same thing next time.
Yeah.
Or you could say, okay, let me reevaluate this. Let me check at what could I have done better. And next time you might do that. And who knows, it may be a whole of a lot better than it was before.
True.
Just because something is good does not mean it can get better.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, we both saw an interesting video in regards to loss of power. So, there are. I'll just give a short introduction about that. It's 48 rules that a lot of leaders and people in a position that they had of power used to get ahead or stay afloat compared to their competitors. So, how do you feel about the loss of power? Should it really be the way that people live, or should they take a couple of lessons out of it and then really integrate into their system?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. So you have those 48 laws of power, and I think a lot of them are very specific to certain situations, of course, but you can always apply them to your own life.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be... They're still just relationships with people. And relationships with people will never be great in a certain sense because you are not them and you do not understand where they are coming from all the time. And they will not understand where you are coming from. So you have to keep those rules in mind, but you always have to keep in mind that you're dealing with people and people can be unpredictable.
Yeah, true. That's also one of the rules.
Yeah.
You have to stay unpredictable.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. I mean, you have to stay on top of your game,
Yeah,
but at
true.
the same time, you also have to be cautious at not being in a tunnel vision. You cannot close yourself off from other people. That's also one of the rules. So it's not about ostracizing people. It's about understanding people and understanding the world around you. So in that sense, I would say it's very applicable. But if you're just gonna take one rule and use it out of context, or just use it for one certain situation,
or manipulate it.
or manipulating. I mean, certain rules you could say is manipulation. I mean, the things about the crochet and all those, they're very manipulative. But at the same time, it's very important to keep in mind those rules to see how you can get some advantage without fully screwing someone else over. I mean, it should be something of mutual benefit.
Yeah, true.
Any type of transaction, sales negotiation, it should be mutual, because if you grow, they grow, and if they grow, you grow.
Yeah. In regards to sharing and growing together, why do you think that a lot of communities go bad? Because in the beginning, there's the real positive intention to grow a community and build something together, and after a while, it just falls apart. What do you think that really that element is that make that shift go towards another side?
I think if you have a core base,
Yeah.
you usually have the same values as the one who is promoting the brand. So at the moment that the brand is getting bigger and more people are getting involved who may not share the same values, but still find some of their values to be corresponding with one of yours, and that's how you grow, that sometimes the brand gets watered down. Because they're still with the loyal fans and the core base, they are strong, but the other ones are more in number. And the numbers are what make the money. And they dictate what's going to go on. So your values are going to shift. So your brand is going to have to shift. But it's also important to really be focused to the core fans who were there from the beginning. I mean, you hear this in rappers all the time. You know, that once they get big, everybody says they're not true to their artistry.
And they're sellouts.
They sell out. But what really happens is that they break into a bigger audience who
Yeah.
have different values.
Okay.
And they have different values from the whole core audience. And that's what makes the shift happen. You know, with Kendrick Lamar, for example, even though he, I would say, still has a lot of integrity, a lot of value in his music, which he had from the beginning. So it's interesting how to see some certain brands can change, and they have to change with the mass, and some can stay really close to their values as long as they are strong enough. You have to stand for something.
I think it's really the element of staying consistent. You really have to stay firm in your belief system. You have to be who you are. So your brand really has to represent you, the originator of that community. And only if you truly change and your value systems change as well, then I think that your loyal fan base would notice that. But that's the whole problem about it. I don't understand it sometimes. I'm really looking at a community. Sometimes it really goes well.
Yeah.
The core values are there, but I think it's the element of corruption, which is the money aspect. So when it's about money, a lot of people lose the values that they originally had and what made it appealing for that community.
Yeah, but that's because of the security. We all need security, and, and uncertainty is what caused us to go to the money.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to always, like you just said, you know, you have to believe in your values.
Yeah.
And as you just, before in the previous segment, about, you know, everybody changing in every 4 years almost, you know, changing your life a bit. This is the same for the artist.
Yeah.
You know, they change in 4 years. You cannot expect someone to be the same. I mean, that would be very selfish. So I think it's just really about understanding each other and knowing that everybody's growing and everybody's changing. And at the same time, trying to really be true to yourself in some sense.
And on that note, we'll end the podcast. Thank you for listening to the end. This is Ivan from the Realistic Viewer channel, helping you achieve more. Subscribe to the channel for more podcasts with our boy
Zoro.
And if you're interested in the 48 Laws of Power, I'll add a link down in the description box below. Hope to see you in the next video.